This is episode 13. What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in. This is episode 13. I really appreciate everyone watching, liking, and sharing it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about some of the fundamental aspects of the law. For example, what is a contract? When you're in law school, the first semester of law school, you take contracts. They teach you the elements of a contract. You have the offer, the acceptance, and consideration, and intent as well. So I say it's four: offer, acceptance, consideration, and intent. Those are the four aspects of creating a contract. You must have an offer. Someone has to offer something to you. That person has to, either you or that person has to accept their offer. And they have what they call consideration, which is the aspect that each party gives up something. What they call a mutual meeting of the minds, a bargaining of exchanges. Each party is exchanging something, and they intend to be a part of this contract. Those are typically the four aspects of a contract. But in many ways, a contract doesn't have to be written down. It can be a verbal contract. For example, a person would say, I will cut your grass for $30. You're offering your service for cutting grass. That's the offer. They're accepting it. And the consideration is you're cutting the grass, a unilateral contract, you're cutting the grass, and that person is giving you money in exchange for that. And you both intended for this to happen. But that's a real contract. And if the person doesn't follow the aspects of the contract, you can potentially sue that person in small claims court, particularly if it's a larger amount, like a couple $1,000s. It'd be worth pursuing that in small claims court. And so that's important as well. But it's also important that just the verbal contract isn't necessarily enough sometimes, because that'll be he say versus he say. And like, whose word does the jury believe? And you don't want to necessarily leave it up to that. You can add a layer of protection by potentially just filming aspects of it. There's a camera on pretty much every cell phone, so you can film what you all are talking about. Not only will they have your testimony, the video will corroborate what you all talked about. So and then if there's someone else in the room, their verbal testimony about what happened between the parties will also corroborate what happened between you all in a verbal contract. So there's a lot of ways you can go about it. Contracts can be very technical. They can be very difficult, but every contract doesn't have to be written down. It's advisable that it's written down, but understand that a verbal contract is just as contractually binding as a written contract. But it's also important to understand that the consideration part is critical. Each party has to give up something. For example, many courts have said that gifts aren't contractually binding. If someone says, I'll give you $1,000 if you graduate college, and you try to sue that person for not giving you $1,000, the court maybe say that wasn't a contract, that was a gift. And a gift is not a contract because both parties isn't giving up anything. He's giving you the $1,000, but you aren't giving that person anything. You can't give that person love and gratitude for the gift. That's not necessarily enough. But they do have this thing where you can potentially enforce a gift. If it's like, if you relied on it to your detriment. For example, if someone said, if you move to Paris, I'll give you $100,000. And then that person actually afford to give you $100,000, you believed it because this person is very wealthy, and then you quit your job, move your family to Paris, you got a job in Paris, and you actually moved, and the person says, no, I'm not giving you $100,000, you can potentially get a court to enforce that aspect of it. Now, it can be very difficult, but you rely on to your detriment. You actually believe this person had the ability to do that. But that's a very, very basic introduction to contracts. When you're dealing with contracts, it's important to know that there must be an offer, an acceptance, consideration, and then intent. Because you can't make someone sign a contract that they intend to sign. You can't put a gun to someone's head and say, hey, sign this contract. I mean, there's coercion, there's nefarious activities that will invalidate that contract. So there must be intent involved in signing the contract. And that's the introduction to contracts, fundamental introduction to contract. If you have any questions that you want to hear about, let me know. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. This has been episode 13. Thanks.